They say I have killed somebody, but I haven't killed anybody.
Most of the 6,500 prisoners in Kigali prison are men, but not all. Kigali prison also holds more than 170 children, ages 11 to 17. Like most of the adults here, many of these children are charged with a very serious crime, genocide. Adrian Siniyobye is the director of the prison.
They imitated what the adults were doing and the authorities. Of course, this was very horrifying, and it was very bad.
There are currently more than 350 child prisoners countrywide. It is the first time in history that so many children have been accused of killing. Prison life is harsh, especially for these children. Their health is at risk from a combination of inadequate food, poor hygiene, and unsanitary conditions. UNICEF began by addressing these basic needs. Program Officer Ray Torres explains.
First of all, we provided emergency support to make sure that an adequate supply of food and basic health care is provided to those children in coordination with ICRC and other NGOs. Secondly, we worked with the government in the design of a project that would ensure that due process is respected for those children in compliance with the Convention on Rights of the Child.
I just want to go home.
The convention also states that imprisonment for these children should be considered only as a last resort.
The dangers that children are facing in prison are very real. That is why we have an agreement with the government of Rwanda to open a special re-education center for children that have been accused of genocide.
Rwandan Justice Minister Alphonse Nkubito.
We built a fairly detailed project, which will be adopted by UNICEF. We have signed an agreement with UNICEF so that they can help us to take care of this special category of people, women and children who will be in the re-education centers.
UNICEF is committed to helping these children reclaim their lives.
Everybody is presumed innocent, and we have to start from there, to work with the children accused of genocide, and after that, making all possible efforts to facilitate their reintegration into Rwandan society.
I witnessed the death of my mother and father, but I don't know if my brothers are still alive.
Horrible violence. The children of Rwanda have seen it and experienced it. 3/4 of Rwandan children have witnessed a killing. Children must now confront their personal demons, and UNICEF is helping. Dr. Leela Gupta is the UNICEF program officer in charge of child trauma recovery.
They've heard the screams, they've smelled the decaying bodies or people in various stages of dying, and they haven't been able to intervene. If there was no trauma recovery program or systematic approach to addressing it, they would be a very disturbed population globally.
One way children can confront their disturbing memories, experts say, is through role-playing. Today at this unaccompanied children relief center, these children are acting out the Rwandan conflict.
Role-playing is important for a number of reasons clinically, in terms of helping the children gain a sense of mastery over an event or a situation that's troubling psychologically. In addition to the role-playing and the expressive things, they're singing and dancing, writing, keeping a journal of feelings, drawing pictures, and talking about it in group sessions.
These sessions offer the opportunity for children like 12-year-old Claudine Mukanyenzi to talk over their troubling experiences.
My father was hit with a club, and he did not die right away until somebody else came in the evening and beat him to death, and the dogs came and ate the body. I was hiding in the sorghum when somebody found me and shouted, "I found a snake." That's when everybody came and started beating me, and somebody said, "There are many snakes to take care of," so they left me half dead. They said, "When we come back, we'll bury her." Then they hit me with clubs and rolled me with spears to see if I was still alive.
Rwandan psychologist Albert Nambaje has worked closely with Claudine and many other troubled children.
We know that it's a natural mechanism of defense to suppress all the bad experiences, to suppress the stressing emotions. But it doesn't help.
UNICEF, working with other organizations, has counseled more than 2,000 Rwandan children. Most importantly, UNICEF has also taken the lead in training thousands of teachers and caregivers in trauma healing.
The national capacity building component is critical to UNICEF's approach to trauma recovery because the long-term responsibility for healing the adults and the children ultimately comes from the Rwandese here in society.
UNICEF plans to open a national recovery center in Rwanda to ensure that all Rwandan children have a chance to lead normal, productive lives.
If by any chance I got someone to look after me and I successfully finish school, I want to be a doctor, so that, just like I've been in trouble, if someone else should be in the same trouble, as a doctor, I'll be able to help.
These are Rwanda's lost children. During the crisis, UNICEF responded to their basic needs. Today, these unaccompanied children are thriving. With the emergency over, UNICEF has begun an ambitious tracing program to find the families of more than 25,000 unaccompanied children. UNICEF workers use information from interviews with these children to track down their relatives. Marie de la Soudière heads UNICEF's tracing program in the refugee camps of Goma, Zaire.
It's quite easy. You go and you say, we're looking for these parents. If the parent isn't there, often, quite often, somebody will say, oh, this was my neighbor, he's here and there. And between the camp leaders and the food distribution, we're finding a lot of relatives. Having learned from that technique, we're beginning to do kids that are just dying to find their families and they're desperate. Once we started this program, it really caught like fire. It was incredible. 10 kids the first day, 200 kids on day 3, 400 kids in 2 weeks. And we started this sort of formally in December, and we have over 1,600 children who have gone home.
My child was hanging onto my dress. I was being pushed around. When I turned to look for him, he was gone. I searched for him until I became sick with malaria.
I was separated from my son at night when they started firing on Goma. Everyone panicked and ran.
These refugees in Goma, and thousands like them, lost their children in the chaos of the Rwandan conflict. Today, UNICEF will bring these parents and their children together. UNICEF has reunited more than 3,000 children with their families. Each reunification is special. UNICEF found this man's 10-year-old son and his 6-year-old daughter.
I'm so happy. During the last 6 months, I just knew they were dead. I'm taking them with me. I'll try my best to take care of them.
15,000 children have been registered with UNICEF, and more than 12,000 have been photographed as the first step in an innovative reunification technique, a photo ID program. UNICEF photographer Seamus Conlon.
It is quite immediate, you know. I mean, a picture, it hasn't got any language barriers, you know. You don't have to go in and ask questions and everything else. You just show a picture and people will immediately say, I know this child.
A large part of UNICEF's mission involves working with the reunification programs of other organizations.
We are helping a lot of NGOs do it, and we coordinate and train. And then on a much more simple level, we provide a lot of the goods that are needed in the centers, all the tents for children, the cooking utensils, recreational, material, educational material, that sort of thing.
Cindy Scarlett works with Food for the Hungry International, an organization that operates a reunification program in Goma.
And this particular program is for unaccompanied children, and it is funded by UNICEF. So we would not actually have this program if UNICEF weren't our partner in what we do.
With thousands of children in need of care, UNICEF's work is far from over.
Social services are still very, very minimal. I mean, there is a push now, and certainly UNICEF is part of that. We facilitate and coordinate, and we do all the training. But every children's center actually has a staff of 5 to 30 family mediators. But we could double the numbers, and we would double the reunification.